It is my pleasure to welcome Her Excellency, Dr. Hilda Heine, President of Marshall Islands. Your Excellency, you have the floor.
His Excellency Ilhan Aliyev, President of Azerbaijan, His Excellency Antonio Guterres, UN Secretary General, COP29 President Mukhtar Babayev, distinguished heads of states and governments, heads of delegations, ladies and gentlemen. Yahweh, on behalf of the Republic of the Marshall Islands, it is an honor to once again participate in this critical summit. The Marshallese people are navigators. We are the descendants of those that found tiny strings of islands, atolls that just glance above the waves of the wide Pacific Ocean and made them our homes. Our forebears mapped the tides with sticks, coconut fronds, and shells. So it is in our blood to know when a tide is turning. And on climate, the tide is turning today. It is no longer a question of whether the energy transition will occur, but how. Will it be fair and inclusive? Will it be fast enough? Will those that defy our agreements to transition away from fossil fuels and go home to pump more oil, extract more gas, and mine more coal be held to account? Time will judge those that fail to make the transition. Some may fail because of denial and delusions, the misplaced idea that their country somehow will be immune, the fallacy that their short-term interests are worth the destruction on their doorstep, and that they will escape without blame. Other risks falling behind because they lack the resources to make the transition happen. In the Marshall Islands, we have a vision for a future with clean energy and the resilience to withstand climate impacts. But to make that vision a reality, we need much more money, and we need it much faster. Our National Adaptation Plan sets out a pathway for our entire nation to become resilient in the face of the climate crisis. As one of the most vulnerable places on the planet, every aspect of our lives will change, from infrastructure to education to healthcare to our economy and culture, to protect our right to live in our homelands and exercise our right to self-determination. We cannot do this by cobbling together project-based funding, waiting for support that takes years to arrive. By improving access, coordinating processes, and reducing choke points, donors can put decisions in our hands where they belong. We've shown that with cooperation, we deliver. In collaboration with Germany and South Korea, a new innovative low-carbon cargo ship, the Juranai, has joined our domestic fleet that will have 80% lower CO2 emissions than comparable ships. The Republic of the Marshall Islands will soon submit a new enhanced NDC. Let me be clear, we have only received half of the finance we need to deliver our last NDC. But we will develop and submit a new one because we know that this system only works when everyone continues to strive and plays their part. But those parts are not all equal. Our contribution to global emission is tiny. Major emitters, members of the G20, if we can do it, so can you. You can and must submit 1.5-degree aligned NDCs that set absolute economy-wide reduction targets and that cover all greenhouse gases and categories. The urgency of these commitments and the urgency to act on them before 2030 is paramount. The repercussions of low ambition and inaction will only get worse. We will be watching for 1.5 greenwashing. You can and must spell out to the rest of the world whose safety relies on your action, how you will deliver, and the energy goals set in Dubai last year. President and Excellencies, the winds are shifting too on climate finance. With the explosive increase in the cost of the climate crisis, it is obvious to everyone that the system isn't working. We can no longer afford to be unrealistic and unresponsive about the cost of the crisis, which we all know are in the trillions of dollars per year. Anyone who is here to fight over who pays for a small share of those needs rather than engage in a collective effort to find the trillions is no friend to islands like mine. Nor can we afford empty promises. Those that have benefited from extractions have an obligation to provide the climate finance that is desperately and urgently needed. We need a new collective quantified goal that sets us on a path to adapt and protect our communities, drive down our emissions, and respond to the ever-increasing loss and damage. That starts with making it crystal clear what climate finance is not. It is not market rate loans, and it's definitely not finance that funds fossil fuel production. Article 9 of the Paris Agreement contains specific protection for seeds that have never been operationalized. The new goal must remedy this by ensuring a minimum floor of finance that flows to our islands. We can no longer afford to base our hope on an international financial architecture that holds us in the past, that perpetuates inequities. There is no shortage of proposals for how to reform these institutions. What has been missing is the willingness to make it happen. Excellencies, climate change threatens human rights. Every person on this planet has the right to a safe and healthy environment where they can thrive and have their dignity upheld. We must heed the voices of those that hold us to account and demand from us as governments the highest standards, and their rights must be respected. We won't succeed with the process and outcomes that are not inclusive. It is clear that women and children will suffer the most if we fail to stay within 1.5 degrees centigrade and to adapt. They must be part of the solution from the community level to the international. We cannot afford to exclude Taiwan, a country which is under threat from the climate crisis, but also offers solution and innovation from this process. They deserve a seat at this table. Excellencies, it is time to fortify faith and trust in the process that we have created together to solve the climate crisis. The Paris Agreement is a beacon of hope that has guided change around the world. The success of this process does not depend on one country, but on all of us. We are here because we share a common commitment to solving the greatest challenge of our time. In our Marshallese culture and traditions, we have a saying, "Wakuk Wachimor," which literally means we are all on the same canoe, and that we must all work together if we are to reach our destination. Our world demands that we steer our canoe of humanity to reach a future that is safe and secure for generations to come. Thank you to the government and generous people of Azerbaijan for hosting us here in the beautiful city of Baku. Komoltada, I thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency.